Hello, everybody. It's 6:49 a.m. Central Time on the 24th of September, 2023. It's Sunday here in the United States, start of a new week, going into autumn. I hope you're doing well. We are here to do an earthquake update. If you don't know what you're looking at, we are looking at Earthquake 3D. This is the program. I don't get anything for recommending it. However, I do recommend that you use something like it to keep track of the earthquakes. Currently, we're just looking at the USGS reported earthquakes for the last 2.5 days. I can turn on multiple feeds from the Europeans and the Australians and anybody else we can add in, and I would suggest you do that so you can keep track of the quakes yourself. That being said, let's talk about the activity that the USGS is showing. You can see the earthquakes raised higher off the planet. These are deep earthquakes down below the West Pacific and around the planet. The higher they are off the planet, the deeper they are into the Earth. Let's just get a USGS map opened here so you can see what I'm talking about down below the plates. When I start talking about these areas below the plates, really, I'm just talking about the areas below the plate boundaries, the red lines, where the plates meet up against one another. And down below them, we have deep earthquake activity that takes place in the asthenosphere, which is just the semi-melted magma down below the plates. We get deep earthquakes down there, and then up above the deep quakes, we get shallower, larger earthquakes, up to 1 to sometimes 2 magnitudes larger than the deep quakes down below. So we have deep 4s down below, and then up above we have shallow 6s, for instance, here. We have deep 5s, and sometimes those are followed by shallow 7s, and we can go on up the scale. And the bigger the deep movement is, the more it spreads out across the plates, and we start seeing multiple areas where there are new deep earthquakes. And we have letter Ds on the planet here just so you can see where we expect the deep earthquakes to spread to, normally as forecast area points. 1 off the coast of Japan, 1 in Afghanistan, 2 in Indonesia, 1 at Fiji, 1 across over here at the Chile-Argentina border region. We look for those deep, 1 up here also at Kamchatka, Russia. We look for those deep spots to get hit with deep quakes and then spread out from there with new activity. So it's multiple origin points where this comes hammering up. Now, this has all taken place in the past few days. You can see it, the last 48 hours worth of earthquakes, spreading out from where the deep quakes are, going out over to the west, over to the further to the west, following the plate boundaries, all the way out over to Europe. And you can see over in, Croatia, Bosnia area, then down at Greece, then back over at Turkey. Now, I did catch news, and I do have to bring this up because whenever I get something wrong, I get called out by the mainstream media and everybody for being wrong. Now, I'm not dogging the guy, but I do have to mention so many people came over to my YouTube channel and congratulated me on making the Jerusalem Post. So maybe I should just go search this really quick. Hold on. Let me get this open so everybody else can see it so you can see what I'm talking about. So Jerusalem Post, it's mainstream media. And Dutch earthquake. Let's just see if that brings it up. Here it is. No, that's Turkey. We need to go to the news for the, they're giving credit to this Dutch earthquake forecaster for Korea. Here it is. Okay. Now, this is not me. This is not me, okay? Just I have to point this out, that they're talking about a Dutch earthquake forecaster who warned for a 7.0 range earthquake to strike on the plate boundary in Egypt and to have it happen between the 19th and the 21st of September. Now that matters. Let's go over and take a look and see where Egypt is. Here is Egypt right here at the bend of the plate boundary, and it goes up to the north, and in case you don't know, again, right here is Egypt. And the warning was for up to a 7 to hit. Now, if you go read the article, they're congratulating the guy for getting it right. Because a 4.0 earthquake hit in Egypt, and he issued a warning for an earthquake. An earthquake. up to 7.0. And when a 4 hit, the Jerusalem Post congratulated the Dutch earthquake prediction guy for his correct warning. Or the warning, as the article says, was for a 7. Now it's the 24th. And so what I do is whenever I issue a warning for a large earthquake, and if it doesn't hit, I give it a few days just to make sure that I'm not, off and Mother Nature's off or something, and I'm just, taking a little bit longer. But then becomes the Dutch sense beat up that begins with me and expands to everyone else. So I went looking for any critique on the incorrect earthquake warning for a 7, a 4 hits, that's not correct, that's a factor of 1,000 or more off on power. And, again, if you're warning, it's like warning for a hurricane and then a little light rainstorm comes. I mean, it's that big of a difference. So I've had this happen before myself when I issue a warning for a large earthquake and nothing hits at all, not even a 4. So when you get it wrong, you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out where you get it wrong. Be public about it. Publicly correct yourself. Otherwise, other people are going to have to come in and correct you. That's the whole point of what I'm saying here. And there it is. So did the earthquake hit? No, it didn't. But again, I am not this Dutch earthquake forecaster that the mainstream media is praising. That being said, look at the stepping stone path of earthquakes going right across our area, all about the same size. 4, 4.4, 4.5, 4.4, and another 4. So let's just call these two 4s bookends. One over at Croatia at Bosnia. That's Bosnia. One over at Bosnia, and one over at Azerbaijan. Is that Georgia? People get all mad when you get look. The border difference is 50 miles or something like that. Like, it's 50 miles away. But if I get that wrong, people there are gonna freak. Right, guys? How dare you? Okay, anyway, we're at Azerbaijan-Georgia border, and that's a 4 on one side. And then we go all the way over here, and we've got our 4 on the other. So, like bookends on either side, this is the plate boundary. One more time, let's go to the USGS map. So, one side and the other, 4 and a 4, and then in between, 4.4s. And that really does follow the trajectory. Look, down by Crete, back over to Turkey, back over to Iran. Crete, Turkey, Iran. So, this whole section moved on a mid-range 4 level in the past 2.5 to 3 days, since the expiration of the Dutch predictor, and prediction and forecasting is different. They're doing prediction. Anyway, no large earthquake. Now, knock on wood, because we could see a large earthquake on the plate boundary here. I would lean more towards Turkey than towards the south. If we were going to be watching an area for a break to take place, we would watch between all of these. Think of this like a wave, and this wave is going along this red line. It's going back and forth, bouncing back and forth, dropping off earthquakes. It's trying to escape out around Europe in 2 directions. One is out towards Ukraine and Poland. The other is out towards Algeria and North Africa. And our last big break took place here, and it was near 7.0. Well, it was 7.0, but I downgraded it. But so 7.0 level activity here, that's Morocco. Now, since then, no big break out at the mid-Atlantic, which means this whole area is under stress. And as this whole area is under stress, we're seeing the wave bounce around. It's trying to make its way to the west, not to the east. If the wave was trying to make its way to the east, then we would warn somewhere down here, down by South Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, for a very rare large earthquake. If the wave was going the opposite direction, or Iran, you would warn South Iran. But we know which way the wave goes. We've watched this for 12 years now, and the wave goes around Europe this way and heads out. It's trying to get out to the out. And look, I mean, another example is that the wave is trying to reach out all the way, and it is, right to where the arrow is pointing to, 4.7. If you take all this and add it up, guess what it equals? 4.7 to 4.8. A 4 plus a 4 is 4.1. Plus another 4.4 is 4.5. Plus another 4.5 is 4.6. Plus another 4.4 is another 4.74. So we're at 4.74. That's how you add up magnitudes, by the way. You just add up the last little point on each one of them, okay? Anyway, let's go across over to the United States, Central America, South America. So North America, Central America, South America, moving about the same magnitudes. In the past week, we did move about the same on both sides of the Pacific, and you can still see it, some of it. Now, since then, since we moved the same, literally the same, we had 6.1s and 6.1s on both sides of the plate, this is what has happened since. So, going across Central America, going out into the Caribbean, 4.2 to 4.6, 4.3 to 4.2 to 4.3, and then over to the east, a few days back, another 4.4 to 4.5, and another 4.6. In other words, we went the same sized earthquakes across Central America, which is the Cocos Plate, where the red line is, and then spreading out to the east following the red line. That's the plate boundary in the Caribbean with the same size quakes. Let's go back to the start of the week. Take a look one more time. 4.6, 4.2, and then we get a 4.3 and a 4.5. I mean, come on, it's the exact same sized earthquakes within a hair of a point of each other. This is in the course of a few days' time. Going from Central America, a few days back, marked in red, to today and yesterday, marked in pink. You see which way it's going. Over to the east. Now, coming across down to the south, 2 days ago, well, actually 3 days ago. 3 days ago, 72 hours ago, 6.0 coming across, right on the arrow. Now, let me show you where it came across and what came across. Now, USGS doesn't have any big arrows going across the Pacific like I do, but you can see the two sets. Again, one up to the north, one down to the south. Now, we go back to their map, and you'll see the one on the north is pointing towards this way, and the other one is pointing towards this way. You'll see we're going on both sides of the Nazca Plate where the arrows are pointing. And what happens is that deep wave comes up from down below, the one I was starting to talk about at the start of this update. It spreads across this way, straight across the plate, and tries to go path of least resistance over following the plate boundaries on both sides. So we get a 6 up here. I would expect something similar down here in the next several days. Now, we can't rule out that last week's 6 down south, down at Easter Island, and that this is the response to that. So I'm not going to issue a forecast for it, but down here where this 4.9 is, a 6 struck last week. So it could be, I don't have any proof on this, but that last week's 6 down here and now this week's 6 up here is the same amount of movement on both sides. But we did not see any big breakdown here to the south, so I don't know. Again, I can't issue a forecast for it if it already happened. Although AI would say that I do. By the way, if you go ask AI about Dutch Sense, it'll tell you things like I put out my warnings after the fact, and that I take credit for earthquakes after they hit. For forecasting after they hit. It's so crazy. I can't believe that it's saying that. But that's a false accusation, by the way, in case you're new here. You can't backdate YouTube videos, right? Like, once you upload them, they're uploaded, and the date that they're uploaded on is the date they're uploaded on. I can't go in and change the YouTube video to say something else. I could take stuff out. You can't put stuff in. Well, maybe you can put music in. But anyway. Let's go up to the north, where we had the same size movement. Going across Alaska down into the United States, 6-point-something earthquake struck just a few days back off the coast of Vancouver Island. So that was, again, last week. It's now off the feed, so it's over 6 days ago. So if you were able to see all the 6s over the past 2 weeks, which there is a way to see them, let's go turn on the USGS 30-day feed of 4.5 and greater. And this should show us all the 6s that struck over the past week and a half. Let's just wait for it to refresh here. There we go. Okay, there it is. Oh, that's right. I forgot. They downgraded the 6.1 off the coast of Vancouver to be a 5.6. And they downgraded the earthquake off the coast of Mexico, 6.1, to be a 5.6. And they downgraded the 6.1 here to be a 5.9. Oh, and they downgraded the 6.1 in New Zealand to be a 5.6. How many 6.1s down to 5.6 are we going to do, guys? That's weird. Anyway, there's the 6.1 I was talking about from this past week. And up to the north, there's the other 6.1. Again, you have to imagine this in your mind's eye because USGS is doing some creative, funny business to make earthquakes different. But even if they try to make them different, you can see that they're all the same. Like a snowflake. You are different, just like everybody else. Think about that for a second. All right, now let's go ahead and turn off the 30-day feed. Yes, you are unique and different, just like everyone else. And if everybody else is unique and different, just like you are, doesn't that mean no one's unique and different, logically speaking? Okay, let's go in and go to the United States. So Alaska, Hawaii. Well, Hawaii broke apart. How about that? Hawaii broke apart. Issued a warning for that. I don't normally issue warnings for volcanoes, but it was pretty obvious. Oh, hold on one second, guys. Got a little sneeze cough going on here. Hold on. 'Tis the season to be a sneezing. Anyway, up in Alaska, Shashalden blew with a 42,000-foot high blast within a few days of Hawaii going. So Hawaii went first. Then, when Hawaii went, I issued the warning for Shashalden volcano. And I know, I don't normally issue volcanic alerts at all for anything. So that was 2. Again, people told me I got lucky. Even the trolls noticed. They came over there like, you just got lucky. That's twice, Dutch. I'm like, lucky? Lucky? On Kilauea and Mount Shashalden in Alaska? Luck? No, there was a big seismic swarm happening at both beforehand. Duh. It's not luck. How would I know to pick Shashalden? You know how many freaking volcanoes are up in Alaska? Seriously, take a look. Here's your pick right here along the area. And Mount Shashalden's right down in... I don't even know where it is. Jeez, for crying out loud, it's somewhere down in here. Anyway, Shashalden. Oh, there it is. Issued the warning for Shashalden. And it blew 42,000 foot. It hardly ever does stuff like that. I'm not bragging. I just have to tell you. The reason we warned Hawaii is the same reason we warned Shashalden. Because the wave that was coming across this past week, 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago, wave coming up to Kamchatka, reaching to Kamchatka. We had volcanic activity kick up at Kamchatka. No seismic. No release. Instead, the wave went down, over, and into Hawaii. And boom, it broke. And you could see this basically for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even more, leading up to the eruption at Hawaii. With the tilt meters and everything, you could just see it rising. That's that wave coming in and pumping up the area. The seismic wave. The seismic wave went across Alaska, and now this is what we're dealing with since. So since the wave went across, we have a new swarm which is broken out. The new swarm is broken out at a different volcano. This one's right up here next to Kodiak. Let's go over and take a look at the name of the volcano. So next to Kodiak, there's a volcano here that has been showing a lot of seismic, but has not blown at all. There it is. Nova Rupta and Katmai. So I don't know which one's going to be the one to go, but it's been doing enough seismic activity at it that I'd like for you to keep an eye on it this week, just in case, in light of the 42,000-foot high blast at Mount Shashalden. All these earthquakes right here, all these zeros, 0, 0, 0, literally 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0. This is the computer's way of telling us nothing's going on at this volcano, isn't it? That's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the computer's reporting in to let us know there's nothing going on at the volcano. Oh, wait, actually, it's a negative earthquake. Look, magnitude negative 0.1. Now, that's a calculation error, if you want to call it that. It's just such a minuscule little amount of surface movement right at the surface there. But if we're getting a whole bunch of small movement at the surface, again, a negative earthquake, we don't have an open portal sucking in energy there, guys. That's a calculation error, but it's still, just consider that nothing, right? Like just a little bit of vibration at the surface. But when you start getting this much, little bit vibration isn't little. So keep an eye on it, okay? And I don't normally issue volcanic eruption alerts or watches. But the last 2 that I did come to fruition within days. Let's go into the lower 48 now and just take a look and see what's going on in the United States. Well, we got a lot going on in the United States. First of all, we've got seismic coming in, going down to Texas, down through Colorado, back up to the East Coast, up to the Great Lakes, following the Craton Edge. And over on the West Coast, we have a similar amount of movement going down through California. The good news is that it's all small right now. When I say right now, I think it's about to increase. Southern California is due for a 5 within the next 2 days, down by San Diego. And over to the east from there, I would expect 4.0 level activity, where there are currently 3s. So let's just get all the small quakes out of there and take a look. There we go. We got a 3.9. Should we just call that a 4? We got a 4 down in Texas at the pumping operations. There are thousands and thousands of drill points at this location down in Texas. I'm not against oil and gas. However, drill points lead to earthquake activity next to them. They're like perforations in the plate. And it doesn't matter whether it's oil or gas or geothermal or even dry exploratory drill points we even see get seismic activity next to them. Again, it's like a small perforation in a piece of stone. And when you start doing a whole bunch of them right next to each other, and this wave comes vibrating in through the plate, seeks out the path of least resistance, seeks out these drill points, going along the edge of the craton. And that's where we are right now. We're down in Texas, next to Dyess Air Force Base. That's the drill point that I just showed you there, those tanks and the pumps and the pipeline and apparatus there. Now, if we were to look at the rest of the quakes, you'll see that they're all in the 3 range, and they go in a line. Do you see that? It comes out of Texas and goes up into Oklahoma. We're going to take it down one step, down to 2s. Then you'll see we come out of Colorado, go down through Texas, back up, and then we kind of get quiet in the Midwest through the New Madrid seismic zone. We pick back up on the East Coast. But you should be able to see this line of quakes right there. Okay, that matters. That line of quakes matches with this, the edge of the craton, that J-shaped bend coming out of Texas going back up into Oklahoma. You see it there on the North American craton graphic. Now, that's a match. All of these spots here are drill points, every single one of them, from west-southwest Texas through central Texas, which I just showed you, all the way up here to the 3 in central Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, 500,000 or more different drill points across the state. And if you don't believe me that these are all drill points, I could go pull some of them if you need to see them if you're new. But Prague, Oklahoma, well-known location for all the drill points. They actually put a moratorium on drilling in these spots for several years due to the 5.0 earthquake, the record-breaking, state record-breaking earthquakes that happened here. So I don't know if we're going to find current pads here. They may have even closed down some of the wells that are nearby, but let's just go ahead and turn on all of our place marks and just see if we have any. Well, okay, there. I mean, over here, just to the west of Sparks, we have the nearest marked well. I'll show you what they look like, and then we'll try and find a few that are closer. There we go. Tanks, pumps, jacks, pipelines. Is that a greenhouse? I wonder what... Yeah, Oklahoma legalized it. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back over to the east and just see if there's anything right around the earthquake epicenter for drill points. There's one right there, literally a few hundred feet away. So we have tanks, pumps, jacks, and I don't see... Oh, wait. We have tanks, pumps, and pipelines. I don't see the actual jack where we're going to be creating pressure. You know, the famous oil derrick shape or the oil pump shape. Not derrick, but the famous oil well shape. Might be covered with the shed. Okay. Anyway, we're there. We're right next to a drill point. It's obvious. That's it. That's what's at the location at the center. If you go on the north side, east side, west side, southwest side, all of these look just like that going down through Texas. And even in southeast Texas, I already looked this up the other day. This is just like the other spots in Texas. So if you need to see it, a picture speaks 1,000 words. When you see the number of drill points here, you'll understand. It's this perforation principle. It's the principle that if you put a bunch of perforations in a piece of stone, no matter how thick it is, and you put a wave or a vibration through it, it's going to seek out those weak points, even if they're just on the surface. Now, in this case, this is surface going down thousands of feet or more, and you see all these little white specks that are on here. These are not houses, every one of these. Different oil or gas well. Okay. All right. Now you get the picture and you get an idea of how many there are. Yeah, not campsites, guys. I see people in chat sometimes try to get creative and try to explain it away. No, these are all drill points, and they just go on and on and on for miles in all directions here. And they actually pick up in the number the more we go south by southwest. We start getting into millions of drill points once we get down here. But that's where we are in Oklahoma. That's where we are in Texas. And Southern Colorado. Southern Colorado next to Trinidad. More drill points. Now, one more time. Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma. All three spots, all drill points, all of them have this in common. Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma. The J-shaped bend in the edge of the craton. This wave is going down and around the plate. It's one of my biggest discoveries. It was denied by professors. They said it could not happen. Fancy math was used to deny it. Yeah, that fancy math, we're going to have to address that at some point. But turns out elasticity applies. That's what the professor said to deny it. He said that one earthquake can't cause the other, Dutch, that these threes down in, or this two in Colorado can't cause these threes in Texas. And these threes in Texas, it's too far, Dutch. Can't cause these threes. See, it's 3.2 in West Texas and 3.2 up in Oklahoma. Okay, the professors all misunderstood what I was saying, I think, or they just assumed. You know what happens when people make assumptions, right? Ass between you and me, right? But I wasn't saying that one earthquake's causing the other. They aren't. There's a wave that's going across the whole plate, and it's dropping off the same sized earthquakes all the way along the way. It's not losing much energy, and if it is, it's only losing a hair of a point across a huge distance. So it's going from 3.2 to 3.2. And in between is the big one, the 4, standing wave. Think of this like two smaller waves and a big wave in the middle, and then it spreads. And then you get two smaller waves and a big wave in the middle. Standing wave. Boom, 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 going across North America. So, drill points in the Midwest, Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas. What's up here at the Great Lakes at Ohio's border? Madison, Ohio, 5-kilometer depth on the edge of the Great Lakes. I do recall having to look up earthquakes here before and finding something of significance here nearby. I don't know how close we're going this time, so we have to... Oh. Here's our earthquake epicenter. Look what's right across this little river. I'm going to get a measurement just to see how far we are. We'll measure in miles and kilometers, but it's not far, guys. It's 1.4 miles or 2.2 kilometers. Oil and gas wells again. Now, these oil and gas wells, mainly gas for methane. Methane coming up along the edge of the Great Lakes. Okay. Now, there's something else here nearby that must be pointed out. Let me see if I can get it here. Not that, not the quarry. And not the coal. Where is it? The nuclear power plant that's here. Right? We should be able to see it from space. Wait, maybe this isn't space. There's a water treatment facility. Maybe this is from a Chinese spy balloon. There's a coal-fired power plant. I could have sworn that there's a nuclear power plant here somewhere. Morton Salt Factory. You kidding me? Coal. Well, make a liar out of me. It's got to be here somewhere. Oh, there it is. How could I miss it? Let me label this sucker for future reference. Nuke plant. Nuke plant. There we go. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump away, wouldn't you say? So here's the deal, guys. We've got drill points in the plates, and the wave that I'm talking about seeks out those drill points. But this wave that I'm talking about traveling through the plate is very low frequency to ultra low frequency, and it's electrically induced by Mother Nature. It's, how do you say it? Piezoelectric and electricity in the plate. And it's very low frequency or ultra low frequency. And the power being generated by humans is very low frequency to extremely low frequency, depending on what they're doing and how many hertz. But just generally speaking, we're talking about very low frequency in the power lines being generated at the base station at the nuclear power plant. The power itself coming out of the plant. Part of it goes to ground. Now, when there's a lot of power that goes to ground, we can see an earthquake effect if the seismic wave is coming through the area at that time, like over at CERN. But in this case, we're talking about Mother Nature's seismic wave, and it passes through the plates following the edge of the craton. Back to the craton diagram. And if you build a nuclear power plant or put power lines or drill points along the edge of the craton, the wave that's going along the edge of the craton seeks out those points. So let's recap. Drill point in Colorado, drill points down in Texas, across central Texas, up into Oklahoma, all drill points. Then we get up here, we're next to 2 other drill points up in the Northeast, much more rare in Ohio. Also next to a nuke plant with a very low frequency. Go over on the West Coast. Let's go take a look. 48 hours worth of earthquakes. And we're going to zoom in. It looks like a lot of gobbledygook, but in the Pacific Northwest and Northwest Intermountain states. Coming out of Montana, going down into Yellowstone. One more time, look up in the Northwest on the craton diagram, guys. Compare the earthquakes coming out of the Northwest to the craton diagram coming out of the Northwest. Craton diagram's been around for 10 years. I've been using it. The earthquakes do this almost every day. And they point like an arrow down to Yellowstone. Yellowstone's right at the border of Wyoming. Now, all these small earthquakes are somewhat regular for Yellowstone. We've seen many, many more, thousands of them in the course of a day in some instances. Now, there's hundreds of tremors that happen every day at Yellowstone. Not to be confused with earthquakes. Tremors do get assigned magnitudes in some instances, and in many cases, they're just small like this. But these are actual earthquakes, cracks in the plate that are following that edge of that craton down to Yellowstone, pointing like an arrow to it, which then points further down like a greater arrow down to southern Colorado. And let me get all the magnitudes out of there so you can see this. These are the earthquakes over the last 48 hours. So we come in from the northwest, and we come in from the west. Focusing in on Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma. This is a regular occurrence. Do not be alarmed by this. This is something that's normal for the flow to goes in this direction. This is why we have the arrows on here to begin with. First, I noticed the earthquakes were pointing like arrows. I said, you know what? We need to put some arrows on there. Let everybody know that's the way it flows. And there is a flow to this. Now, coming out of the northwest, look at this. Like a big shield going across all of Washington. And we have swarms now taking place across Washington. And we get down into Oregon, and there's only 2 earthquakes and an explosion reported. 2 earthquakes and an explosion. Meanwhile, all of Washington showing activity. I'd like to go look it up, go see what's going on there. Let's go look up the stack of earthquakes, go see where it's at. Well, you'll notice that when we look up this earthquake here, the whole stack, it just says it's in Washington. It doesn't really say where, though, does it? You would think it, whenever you see a swarm like this, you would want to know where it is. The public would want to know where it is. Well, I would like to show you where it is and just let you make up your mind as to what you think it means and why they wouldn't tell you what the name of the place is. Zooming in on the earthquake epicenter, you're going to see that the swarm is taking place inside of something. This is a famous volcano called Mount St. Helens. Now, do not be alarmed. As far as I know, it doesn't mean any kind of eruptive activity. Every time we've seen this happen in the past, a swarm of earthquakes inside the crater at the rising dome of Mount St. Helens. The dome rises a little bit. Sometimes it can even sag or sink. Now, I'm not saying it's going to erupt. No, this is talking about just a regular seismic event that takes place at the volcano when the wave is passing through. How do we know a wave is passing through Mount St. Helens? We'll look across the rest of Washington, and you'll see it's arriving like a wave hitting the shores of a beach. And then it flows in like a focused arrow into Yellowstone. So we're back here. This stack of earthquakes is inside the crater at Mount St. Helens. Usually something like this is followed by somewhat larger earthquake activity. So you'll go from 0s up to 4s. Enough to rattle things and maybe wake you up in the middle of the night. Now, people would think it might mean something larger. I don't think it means any kind of eruptive activity. But then there was all that talk just a couple weeks back. Of all the times, seriously, I'm not kidding. So many people leaving comments down below my video. Dutch, I saw this discussion going on about... I'm sorry, I don't mean to impersonate your voices like that. Dutch, people talking about there's the activity at Mount St. Helens. And I'm like, yeah. Nothing's going on. What are you talking about? LOL. And then here we are, 2 weeks later, and now there's an actual swarm inside the crater. Okay, it doesn't mean eruption. It means seismic wave passing through the area, and it means 4.0 greater earthquake coming around the area. The other earthquakes up on the north side, it's a cluster, but not a big stack. This is at Mount Rainier. So this stack is, well, notice they'll also tell you, they give you triangulated coordinates. They're scared of telling the general public that there's a swarm going on inside of Mount St. Helens crater because general public freaks out whenever they hear this stuff. This stuff. Yeah, I corrected myself. I caught myself before I swore. This stuff, guys. All right, here we are. We're on the west-southwest flank of Mount Rainier. And there we are. That's where the cluster of earthquakes is there. Doesn't mean Mount Rainier is going to erupt. Now, the rest of the small earthquakes are spread out somewhat evenly across the areas east of each volcano and west, going out across over into the Olympic Peninsula up into Vancouver. And you'll notice they're all about the same size. The magnitudes, I mean. So I would say, overall, if you just look at the whole area, you'll see that Washington's absorbing a wave right now. The wave's coming in and going down to Yellowstone. And it's exciting things at both volcanoes, Yellowstone slightly, and Mount St. Helens slightly. Seriously, we've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of these earthquakes happen at Yellowstone and at Mount St. Helens before. So don't be alarmed yet. If anything were to go down, I think we would most likely have some kind of idea that something was getting ready to happen at the volcano. We would see a lot of seismic going on there, way more than what we're seeing there now. As we go down to the south, though, you cannot overlook that there's also the same sized earthquake striking. Well, look, USGS is doing it again. Just like the one in Washington at Mount St. Helens. Look at this one. Oregon. They're trying to hide it from their own viewers. It's kind of shady to do this. To not, like, put a coordinate at not put a triangulated location so people can know where an area is. If you just see it say Oregon, but it's really inside of Newberry Crater. Look, guys, both of these are spots where we're inside a crater. We're not like on the side of or next to. We're inside Newberry Crater. Why would the USGS hide that from their viewers? It's weird to me to hide it. And this is a form of hiding it. This is a way to, where's their thing saying it's in Newberry Crater? And it matters. Why does it matter? Because of the other ones up to the north, inside the crater at St. Helens, and all around Rainier, and over at Yellowstone. So now we got Yellowstone, Rainier, St. Helens, Newberry Crater, all showing activity, seismically speaking, and USGS. Whoops, not a peep. Now let's go look at the explosion over here along the coast, right? How could I have known it was an explosion without looking it up? I just guessed. I'm serious, I'm not kidding. I just guessed. I just guessed and I'm right. Oh, dude. It's hilarious. Science, guys. You know how, like Sherlock Holmes, I was able to deduce that it would be this based upon past experiences. Okay, let's go. Let's go see what's at the explosion site. Sorry, I get a kick out of things science. I'm a nerd. Let's go look at this quarry, go see what's going on there. There it is. The wildlife area. Oh, wait, and the big quarry at the area, right? Knife Riven Coffin Butte Quarry. Dude. All right, look, guys. The Coffin Butte Quarry. For crying out loud, I didn't even know there was something there called the Coffin Butte. I'm gonna guess it's volcanic. I'd have to look up the info on it to find out. I don't even want to. That name alone just says, get out of here. Let's carry on down to the south. Down to Northern California, we're coming in along the plate boundary at Eureka. Now, if you're not familiar with Eureka, let me show you over on the USGS map. Here we are. Coming in at Northern California, we have the San Andreas Fault, and that's at Eureka. And then that diagonal red line, goes down to the east by southeast. That's the plate boundary between the Pacific and North America. And the seismic flows along that. Now, there's a big stack of earthquakes here. You see it. Any new person would wonder what's there. Any longtime viewer already knows what's here at the geysers of California. Clear Lake Volcano. And if you're not familiar with Clear Lake Volcano, it's been drilled to get steam. And we go in and we take a look at it almost every update. If not every update, almost every update. There we are. See where it says M9.9 false earthquake? A 9.9 popped on the feeds one day. And it was a 1.99 that the computer had misread something or other. And anyway, so this is a geothermal electrical generation location on the side of the volcano where they're injecting water to get steam. Now you understand why there's a big swarm of earthquakes there. But what about the lone near 3 out here in the middle of the valley? That's way, way more rare. We hardly ever see this. Only maybe a few times a year do we see activity in the middle of the valley here. There's something in the middle of the valley here. I'm taking you from one volcano. Look where we're going. We're going just north of another. Did you know there are 2 volcanoes in the middle of Sacramento Valley? The Sutter Buttes. The Sutter Buttes. Now, starting at the Sutter Buttes are these. Tanks, pipelines, pumps, and injection points. I'm thinking this is for geothermal, but I have not been able to find the geothermal turbine that the pipelines would go to. So if I can't find the geothermal turbines, then the only other thing the pipelines could be for would be for oil and gas. Now, it wouldn't be out of the question to have oil and gas pumping operations, because up here, see where it says Butte City? Next to Butte City, out here in the farm fields, we actually have an oil and gas pumping operation out here through the fields themselves. I guess the farmers, whatever they're doing is deep down below. It's not going to affect the crops, supposedly. And that's where the oil pumping operations begin. Then we go down around this volcano, which I don't know if it's geothermal or oil or gas. Since I can't find the geothermal, I'm leaning towards oil and gas. And then we go through the fields down here as well. Okay, then down here to the further southwest, we have thousands of known drill points. So whether or not I have to guess on these up to the north, down to the south, it's indisputable where we go down past the 3.3 in the valley. Over to the east, we can go from here to here to here. And if we start up here in the northeast part of the valley, there's another volcano here. So what I'm proving, I think, is that there's a wave going across and that the wave is hitting these ancient volcanoes, these pre-designated weak points in the plate from Mother Nature. You add in something like a high voltage power line going next to La Tour Butte. In the past, I've mentioned La Tour Butte many times. Now, it's an andesitic lava cone from 1 to 2 million years ago. There should be no reason ever that I'm mentioning La Tour Butte. I didn't even know about it until the fires and the earthquakes broke out next to this thing. So, fires and earthquakes. La Tour Butte shows seismic activity before big fires break out down to the south, like down at Paradise. Down here. Paradise here. Big earthquakes swarm up here at La Tour Butte first. Go down to the south and we go right through the 1.4. Look where it is. East Shore, California. Yeah, East Shore. East of the shore. Look how close we're coming in now. There we go. Lake Almanor, East Shore, east side of Mount Lassen Volcanic Center. Now we're getting really close to Paradise and where the high voltage power lines had their problems. I even have it marked with Quincy and all the fires that broke out there. The fires are something we have to pay attention to in light of what's going on. Now take a look, and I'll show you what's going on in a second with the fires. Look at this. So we have a ring of earthquakes now, a line going down towards Lake Tahoe, another earthquake over here across the Nevada border, and 2 up in Pyramid Lake. If you were to connect this down, over, up, and back, it would make somewhat of a ring shape between Lake Tahoe and Pyramid Lake. Let me show you what's between Lake Tahoe and Pyramid Lake. And I show this in all my updates. It's a discovery I had to make on my own. This giant oval shape here between Lake Tahoe and Pyramid Lake. It is lined with volcanoes. And we see fires break out around the outside edge of this thing, going right into the middle, and earthquakes go around the outside edge of this thing and go right into the middle. I say this thing, it's an ancient caldera. On the west side is where we're seeing the current swarm. We've seen in the past, when this thing goes, seismically, fires soon to follow. As we go down to the south along the California-Nevada border, you'll see another ring of earthquakes. If we were to connect these, 1.7 down to the 1.6, over to the 2.2, down to the 0.2, you could even arguably go all the way over to the 0.1 and come back over. This right here that I'm moving my mouse around, make sure you can see all this. This right here matches with this right here. So we have Long Valley Caldera, the actual known supervolcano. Notice it's a oval shape as well, but it's smaller than this one. The one up to the north is way bigger, twice this size. But the known supervolcano is right there, and the earthquakes are going all the way around it, out into the east, over into the volcanic fields over to the east, and we could talk about that at Monte Cristo Hills and all the others. I don't want to get too far into naming all the locations if you guys are curious. Long Valley Caldera, Monte Cristo Hills, Volcanic Buttes. Over to the east, here, and here, we get over next to our nuke test sites for these two. The 1.2, I do not know what's there. Oh. Oh, God. Okay, look. UFO buffs are going to love this because of the name of the location. Rachel, Nevada. Rachel, Nevada, you know the story. If you've watched anything on UFOs in Area 51, that's where everybody meets to go. They meet in Rachel, Nevada before they drive out to go try to see Area 51. Here's the lunar craters. Here's the Goblin Knobs. Here's the Lizard Hills. And we have to actually go pretty far away to get it, but I mean, we're right next to it. Oh, and if you're not aware, this goes... okay, all of these are underground nuke test sites here. All of these craters. Let me turn on the Google Earth community so you just don't have to take my word for it. Every one of these is a different underground nuke test site. April 2nd, 1985, 20 to 150 kilotons on that one. Okay, just one example. Area 51 is right here, Groom Lake. The earthquake epicenter is due north, up at next to north of Rachel, and we're at the Goblin Knobs Volcanic Center. Yeah, Goblin Knobs. Look, I'm just reporting on this stuff, guys. You see the lava flows, and you see how impressive this area looks. And we'll turn on the terrain so we can get some depth perspective on this. There we are. So you get an idea of how big this is. These are the younger versions, the lunar craters, and the Goblin Knobs are down to the south. And they're the older versions. And that's where we are out in the desert, the only place that I didn't know exactly what was there. Over to the east, we go over next to the Markagunt Plateau, where the Big Arrow is. Giant volcanic field there, well known. I shouldn't need to talk about that too much. Over in the valley, though, we have a 3.3 coming in off the San Andreas in Central California. It's the biggest of the bunch so far, Patterson, California. I wonder what's there. Do you want to go find out, class? Shall we go look together? If there's anything significant, certainly the USGS will tell us, wouldn't they? What's the name of this place? Oh. Don't. Diablo Grande. And this is a town in California, Diablo, the Diablo Grande, the Grand Diablo. Right, guys? Well, if you look at it from above, here, let me turn off all our borders and labels. There we are. If you look at it from above, it actually has the shape of a devil's head in the roads and in the valleys. So it's kind of got like, I don't know. You also could say it looks like a bunny rabbit. Let me turn it proper. There we go. See it? Right? So it's got the shape of a devil's head, all right, just through the river valleys. That's where it gets its name, really, and at least I think. I mean, that's a guess on my part, but if you've got the shape of a devil's head in the river basins there, and it's been on a map for a long time, I would think maybe that's why they call it Diablo Grande. But there is something here nearby, right here on the northwest side. Let's see. Somewhere in here is Graffiti Cave, which is pretty interesting to see. I don't have it marked here directly. What's that? Wait. What's this place? Some kind of antenna. Look at the microwave tower on top of there. Wait a second. What is this place? Hold up. Look at that. It's some kind of antenna array. Mount Oso, Washington. Or no, wait, that's not Washington. Mount Oso. These are all antennas. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. It's a whole antenna farm. You got to be kidding me, man. And then a huge microwave tower there. Wonder if we have a street level view up on this thing. Look at this. You kidding me? We do. We have a street level view of the microwave tower. Ah, so beautiful. So beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Nothing go wrong there. Right, guys? Oh, God. Look. It's so weird that this place is called Oso, Washington. Or, I'm sorry, Oso. Mount Oso. I keep saying Washington. Why? Oso, Washington. Check this out. We're going all the way back up to Washington State. See this? See where it says OSO? See right here? This is a giant antenna array from the U.S. Navy with its towers. And the towers are connected with long antennas that go across this valley. And down through the center of the valley, there are more towers. This is the large VLF antenna array for the U.S. Navy at Oso, Washington. And they've got the big power lines next to it. And then this is where the big landslide happened, where all those people died, the most in the history of Washington. Very low frequency array there, but that's really odd because down at Oso, Mount Oso, California, you've got another antenna array. How many Osos are going to have antenna arrays on them, man? What's going on there? That's weird. That's weird. Okay, so we've got ourselves a big antenna array at the Diablo Grande earthquake location that I missed the first time when the big earthquake hit there this past week, in case you missed it. So, noteworthy earthquake, 5.0 range, struck next to this. I found Graffiti Cave. I found the name of Diablo Grande, but now I just found the antenna array that's there. Just now, live. Okay, let's carry on down to the south. So, one thing all these earthquakes have in common so far is that they're pointing like arrows over to the edge of the North American craton. I've already showed it to you several times. Let's turn off the magnitudes and just show it to you one more. Coming in from the northwest, pointing like an arrow. Coming in from central and northern California, again, pointing in like an arrow to southern Colorado. A microcosm, or a smaller version of it, is taking place down at the southeast tip of the valley. Let's look at the last 2 days, 3 days. You should be able to, hopefully you should be able to see this. It's pointing in like an arrow to the edge of the Mojave. Coming down and over to a hard edge on the Garlock Fault. Now there's a few minor small earthquakes out across the Mojave Desert And if we were to go look those up, you would find out that they are at volcanic locations. But we'll skip the Mojave quakes and just look at the ones that are going across Ridgecrest. And you'll see there's a line again. Again, it connects like an arrow. Points down to right down to here to Garlock Fault. Now there's something there at the spot that I'm pointing at. Searles Valley. It's a rocket test site, an experimental location for companies like Boeing and Raytheon. They do experimental testing there, as well as NASA and the U.S. government, but mainly private industry doing experiments out here. And there's all kinds of high-tech stuff out here, and I'm not kidding. See where it says Skytop? Here's where they're doing like one of their rocket test sites where they put the rocket in the bunker and shoot it out, okay? They also have lots of radar facilities and everything else out here that's just really, really interesting. Bunkers. And that's where we are. We are right next to it at Searles Valley. What's this? Fish Rocks. Kidding me? Historical landmark at Fish Rocks. All right, let's carry on. Down to the south we go into Southern California, and we get into North LA. So I'm going to skip the quakes for the most part over to the east. We're just going to look up the quakes along the coast. Isla Vista, California. Isla Vista. You guys say it like that? Is that how you say it? Let's go see what's there. Should be off the coast of Malibu. Oh, it is. How beautiful. Wow. Isn't that just awesome? Coal Oil Point Seep Field. They had to mark this because of the sheen across the water coming from the oil well. They had to try and justify the sheen coming from the oil slick coming off of this. They're going to justify by telling you that it's the Coal Oil Point Seep Field. And it's seeping there anyways, and it was always going to be there, so they just put the oil platform there. And, always coming up out there, you know what I mean? Never mind the earthquake there. You know, the USGS said there was no relation between oil pumping operations and earthquakes? Or not the USGS, the professionals. The professionals came to all my videos and said there's no relation. Otherwise, we'd see earthquakes reported in Saudi Arabia, they said. I had to let them know the USGS doesn't report anything under 4.5 internationally, or 4.0. You have to go check the Saudi feeds to get the quakes, because they're being hidden from you on the USGS side. Professionals are usually shocked to find this out. Now you'll see, here's the earthquake epicenter, and you see it's marked oil, right? But do you see this? KMROFM Camarillo. And do you see this? This is the NEXRAD radar. This is the high-power transmitter for the area. High-power microwave for observing the weather. Radar. Now the weirdest thing happened. There was a rare hurricane hitting Southern California a couple weeks ago. You remember that? And the eye of the hurricane came directly over this radar station. And when the eye of the hurricane came over the radar station, as the eye was going directly over the radar, the center of it, a 5-point-something earthquake struck down below the radar station, down on the plate, down below the storm, down below the radar. It's not chance. This whole area has now been breaking ever since. This is where the transmitters are. The high-power microwave transmitters, again, are right here. Look at it. Look at this thing. Huge microwave tower there. I wonder if we have pictures of that. Anybody taking any awesome pictures of this location? So beautiful. Look at the $1 million mansions built next to the oil pumping operations and the high-power microwave radar. Nothing could go wrong there. Do we have street level? Oh, we do. Look at that. Wonderful. Street level right next to the radar. Oh, hey, you never know it's there. Dude. Don't ask no questions, kids. Microwaves are good for you. That's why you stick them in your ears and you get brain cancer. You know, I worked at the cell phone company back in the early 2000s. 3 of my coworkers came down with brain cancer behind their ears. 3 in the same building of 150 people. It turns out the people who told you that microwaves don't harm you are the people who make the damn things. And you watch. They always power them down when they have their own people go work on them. All right, now, backing it out. What do you think the chances are, all these locations that I'm showing you? I'm serious, that we're going in next to the nuclear power plant, the radar stations, Oso, Mount Oso, Oso, Washington, and the volcanoes and the oil drill points. What do they all have in common? Very low frequency, electricity in the plate, pre-designated weak point. What about the 1.3 over to the east, Castaic, California? I do recall that there's something here at Castaic, California. Something that you're not going to believe. You ready? Let's go look. First of all, big fires broke out here, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dam right there. You see the big dam right there? Well, your eye might be drawn to something else that's down here that I've got marked. All the way around here, next to the dam, where the fires broke out. See where it says Lake Piru? That's where that lady turned up, dead. But here is our big oil and gas pumping operation. And it keeps getting hit with earthquakes. I don't think it's the wisest thing to do the oil and gas pumping all the way around. And I'm not kidding when I say all the way around. Look, it goes up here. There's the dam. There's the drill points. We go right up to the lake with the drill points. Okay, it is what it is. I just have to show you. Over to the east by southeast we go into North LA. This is in View Park, Windsor Hills. Windsor Hills sounds regal and exclusive. Just the name alone has an air of royalty to it. All right. There we are. We're in LA. We're next to this place. A graveyard. A giant graveyard. Well, what about on the other side of the graveyard is this? The Baldwin Hills oil and gas pumping operation. These are all actual wells. And I don't know if you'll be able to see these. Hold on. Let's go see. We're on the freeway here. Well, it might not be the freeway, but whatever. And it's a regular street in California. It's 5 lanes. Okay. All right, anyway, we're at the Baldwin Hills oil and gas pumping operation. That is where the earthquake is. No doubt about it, right next to it. Same with the 1.2. We go a little bit east-southeast from this spot. So just ever so slightly down here. Wait. What? What? This is called the YouTube Theater now? What? Look, I'm a little behind the times, man, but come on, I didn't know there was a YouTube Theater. Why are we not there? Don't worry about it. Just a little earthquake down below. Yeah, they got the underground party going on. It's like the Matrix. Bunch of stinky hippies down in the basement of the YouTube Theater. Some guy like Morpheus comes out, no shoes on. They're all sweaty, swarthy, covered in mud for some reason. And they're going to show us all how it is. They're going to dance. Could you imagine the smell coming out of that place? Out of the Matrix tunnel, I mean. Okay, all right, okay. Look, the things in the Matrix you never thought of. How about this one? if there is no spoon, like the bald kid said, there is no spoon? Well, if there is no spoon, there is no red pill or blue pill either, right? Mind blown. Let's go down to the east by southeast and just wrap this sucker up. A diagonal line of earthquakes going across the San Jacinto and Elsinore Fault, west side of Salton Sea Volcano, focusing in down south, just south of the border in Mexico. This earthquake here, 1.4 on the U.S. side of the border, 2.0 down to the south. These are at drill points again. Let's go show you. And I apologize, I just took a sip of coffee and it almost came out my nose. Wow. Boy, that'll clean the sinuses. Wow. Amazing. My eyes are on fire right now. Oh, dude, seriously. Okay. Salton Buttes. Let's wrap this up. Salton Sea Volcano. We're going just southeast down there. We got a 1.4 earthquake. See where it says Imperial and Brawley. And our drill points around here are for steam. However, previously they did oil and gas drilling down here. I found out about a few months ago. I didn't even know this story, that they were doing some kind of drilling down here, and this is what caused Salton Sea to begin with. Some kind of aquifer drilling, and they punctured something, and out came Salton Sea. Look, I don't know if I believe that story, guys. I'm sorry. Down to the south, across the border, down in Mexico, the Mexicans are doing similar activities. So down here, just to the south, see where it says Cerro Prieto Volcano. On the east side of there, this is the Mexican version. And it's all geothermal as well for steam. All right. What an update this has been. Has anything struck since I started, I guess is the question. Now, going back through the update, let's just hit refresh. Anything significant since starting the update? There we go. I don't see anything significant since starting. However, I am just using the USGS feed, so we might be missing a few quakes, if you know what I mean. I can't use the Europeans feed anymore, the EMSC. They called me out publicly and told me I was not allowed to use it. Said I was trying to get name cred by using the European agency. They wrote a research paper about it, actually. False claim. So, I don't know. I'm kind of limited on what I can use. The good news is that you guys all have apps now to tell you when earthquakes strike. And you don't need my live stream here anymore to do it. I'm not live anymore, by the way, in case you didn't know. We're no longer live. And we're not going to be going live ever again, as far as I know. Maybe if a huge earthquake hits, I'll turn on the live stream to cover a tsunami or something, but we're not going to be covering live earthquakes anymore for several reasons, one of which is that you guys all have apps that tell you when the earthquakes hit before the ding of the bell here on my stream. And my stream not being able to be maintained online, anywhere, under any service provider. So in other words, I'm not allowed to stream. I noticed a lot of people telling me to go to Rumble. I'm already on Rumble. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. It's not using Twitter, and I'm not really using Instagram. But in order to use any of those services, you need the internet. You need the internet to use Rumble. And you need the internet to use YouTube. And you need the internet to be able to make a post of any kind, whether it's a text or a picture or a video. If you don't have internet, you can't use Rumble. My problem is my internet is being shut off. Whether it's Starlink, which I have on my roof, whether it's cable, fiber, DSL, and we don't have a mobile option. I live in the woods. But even with the mobile option, back when I was in St. Louis, when I stream, I'm being shut off. But that's okay, because check it out. I started the stream in 2016 to prove I was not faking earthquakes, to prove I was not cherry-picking earthquakes. I used to make videos like this and upload them to YouTube. And skeptics and deniers and professionals all said I must be cherry-picking earthquakes to make it look like there's a spread going across the plates. And I said, I can do this live and show the quakes real time, and anybody can download a copy of Earthquake 3D and follow along the way and see I'm not faking the quakes or cherry picking the quakes. Well, here we are. It's now 2023. You now all have apps that notify you ahead of time before the ding of the bell here or even on my stream, because there's usually a delay of 30 seconds or so. I've proved that I'm not cherry picking or faking earthquakes like the false accusations said in 2016. Now that I proved my case, and you guys get earthquake information real time on your phones and everything else, I can then just make videos whenever necessary. Like I used to. Like a real video maker used to. So, that removes so much stress. I don't have to be here manning a stream and dealing with all the adult babysitting and everything else that goes on with that. And kid babysitting too, really, quite frankly. But don't have to deal with that anymore. And now I can just upload videos when necessary. And I can do this daily if I need to. Or multiple times per day. And I can go places to get an internet connection to upload a video. Or to get earthquake information. But doing that for streaming is not possible. Right? I can't go sit in my car and stream 24/7 from a Starbucks connection or something. But I can surely record a video and go find a connection to upload from. Might even require me to drive around and do it, but I can still do it. I could do that once a day if necessary. So even if my internet's shut off at my house entirely, I can upload a video. But to make a video, I need the internet to get the information. Do you follow what I'm saying? What good is me making a video if I can't pull the current earthquake information with my internet off? So I've run into a problem with my internet being shut off. It's not a matter of Rumble or YouTube or Twitter or Twitch, although they are doing their own messing around. We're talking about a basic fundamental level of my internet being shut off. They can't do that to me. Like now, when I'm recording from a remote location, and I'm going to go upload from a remote location. How do they stop that? Well, we go back to personal attacks and mainstream media attacks, and all that stuff will start to pick back up. Channels will show back up. All kinds of dirt on me will show back up. Everything. That's cool. Look, I'm not stopping. That's the point. But the live stream is dead. Thank God. For real. Man, you can tell I'm in a more positive place. My wife and I already went and did stuff during the day. I used to have to stay here and manage it, make sure there weren't people trolling in the chat and all kinds of stuff every day, sitting here managing this stupid stream. And the stream sucks because there's only 100 or 200 people that would tune in at any given time to get the info. 100 or 200 people out of the whole planet want live earthquake information spinning on a globe or a planet on the screen. The rest of the world gets their updates literally from an app, tells them when an earthquake hits. And then they look for my analysis via video. So that's what they're going to get, what they want. The live stream is side freak show that turned into a complete nightmare. And a way to control and manipulate everything I'm doing. Not anymore. Solution found. You guys be safe. Much love. Don't be scared about earthquakes. Now that you understand there's a flow of seismic activity, check it out, seriously. Now that you understand where it comes from, the deep earthquakes down below that you see there rolling by on the right-hand side of the screen, the deep earthquakes, it's like a storm. It drops a lot of rain on a river. Now that you understand there's a flow, you can watch it flow over the course of days and watch it spread across the planet. By the time it gets to you, you're not shocked. And you know the size of the events, generally speaking, that are spreading out like a flood. And if you live along a river and you don't pay attention to the floods along the river, then you are scared and caught off guard by the floods when they hit. You're the person that's on the roof that needs to be rescued, that wasn't prepared. But if you're aware of a flood and a storm upstream, and you know that there's a flow, you can be prepared. It takes some of the fear away. So that's what I'm doing. Taking the fear away from at least knowing what size activity is spreading out across the planet and the general time frames for knowing it. It's indisputable now. And if you want to try to copy the method, I've already published the method, step-by-step instructions of how to do your own earthquake forecasting. So there is no debate, there shouldn't be, And if you are in debate mode, I'd like to see where you tested it. Surely you recorded a video testing something that's that important. Okay, enough is enough. 8:04 a.m. Central Time. Let's hit save on this and then upload it to YouTube. This is going to be played back in a premiere. What's called a premiere. It's a video that you play back almost like a movie. And then it's shareable like a video. So this is the next best thing to live, too. And I am technically live here on a microphone talking by myself in an office, so... You guys be safe. Like I said, don't be scared. Be prepared. You can also have an emergency kit. That will take the edge off on a lot of emergencies if you have some of the stuff that you know you're going to need in a bag, ready to go, grabbable at a moment's notice. Change of clothes, set of shoes, flashlight, batteries, first aid kit, sanitation. Important IDs and documents. You'll think of way better stuff. Food and water, of course. Food and water. For a few days. The water's heavy, so you might need a pump. But even if you have a pump, you still need access to water. Or some kind of fluid to drink that's at least going to get you through. Be safe. That's the best point on this, is to be safe. You need to be prepared. To be prepared, you need to at least have some of the basics met in a kit ahead of time. I don't sell any of that stuff. So, you guys will have to go find it. And I'm sure you'll have better ideas than what I'm throwing out there for your bug out bag, your emergency kit. Some people have really got it covered. I'm probably right in the middle. I don't have everything covered, but I also just not sitting here with nothing. So maybe you can do the same. Just a suggestion. Be safe. Much love.